Alright, we got a couple packages, but this pile is feeling weird. So I'm just going to move them on screen and open them up one at a time. We'll just begin with the Right Stuff box. Shouldn't go too far with that. Just trying to think if this felt like one thing or two things. Alright. Oh, yeah. We got a receipt, and I think I've seen these before. I don't know. Next up, we got the simpler white one. And then last but not least, the smiley face for reference. Always use the smiley face for reference. I didn't even look, so I was just kind of feeling around like an idiot who's been locked up at home for too long. There are actually more things in here than I thought. I thought it was like one thing. But as you can see, we've actually got a full update today, beginning with, I'm just trying to think how to pronounce it. It's Love Ru, but if you pronounce it in Japanese, Love Ru, like trouble, I guess. This one is a new English dubbed edition with an extra curvy, what's her face? Uncut, uncensored. I'm trying to remember if there's anything cut or censored about the original, but I don't know. We got, you know, English audio. Wow, it's not focusing. Region A. Where's the special features? The blue part right here. You know, it'd probably be helpful if I got rid of this crap. Ah, God, that is not... It's being tenacious, so we're getting this out and going in there and fuck you! Okay, now let's try looking at that again. Special features. Clean opening and ending and Sentai trailers. Okay, well that was really worth it, wasn't it? I feel like stuff is loose. Okay, so we've got... Yeah, I don't remember any of their names. Maybe the guy's name was Rito. I remember concepts of some of these characters. Well, there we go. We got Love Ru dub version. Next up we have a limited edition version of Wiseman's Grandchild. Now, you can tell that wise man is not me because I'm not a wise man, I'm a wise ass. Also a dumbass, but, you know, sometimes those are the same thing. I'm a dumbass who's a wise ass. Basically means beware of dad jokes. I'm known to fire them off quick and fast and without thought. The less thought I have, the faster. Sorry, I was trying to get this gum out, or not gum, glue out from behind. This box contains art cards, bookmarks, and fabric posters. Well, let's take a look at this first because we want to know. So it's DVD and Blu-ray versions. I see an English dub. I see Region A. And the limited edition includes fabric poster, 4 bookmarks, 6 art cards, 120-page art book, with special features of floppy back commentary, promo, and textless op-eds. Let's get in here and take a peek. Well, this would be the fabric poster. Feels like it is completely sealed. It looks kind of good. Like there's a picture of a mountain in the background, possibly Mount Fuji, but I will admit that I wouldn't know. I'm assuming that's the wise man's grandchild. But I have to admit that, you know, that while it looks like the sleeve of a shirt folded backwards, it wouldn't be impossible that that could be a very weird, and I kind of want to open that, but I also kind of don't want to. I'm feeling lazy as well. Anyways, that's a lot of cleavage. For a while I thought her shirt was unbuttoned. She was actually deliberately showing. It's weird. Oh, and bookmark. There's cleavage. Is that the same character? I've already forgotten who I looked at. Anyway, we'll just sneak this in there like that. And then open this up. Actually, did we take a good look at this? Yeah. Anyways, that looks like the one guy in here who's not a person like that. So he's probably the grandchild. Oh look. Yeah, I guess it was her. I guess she's just like that. I know, this is a weird aside. She doesn't really seem to be showing off that cleavage there. So something tells me this can't be used to determine, and this may also not be, because this, I mean, red there seems to be kind of showing, but not as much as that. I don't know, this is all just weird thoughts. Well, if this is the same art style, that could be another guy. Really hard to tell in this one. Looks a little more guy-like there, but and that's red, and they're just low cut like that, and I guess there's a difference in drawing between the two. I know, I'm getting very distracted by that. Okay, like that. Especially since we're starting to see some of the same graphic repeated. I haven't seen orange there before. Is white here another guy? Probably, because all the girls seem to have low cuts. He's definitely a little more effeminate, but seems like it. I don't know. Weird thoughts. I've been cooped up in this apartment for the past week, and my thoughts have gone crazy. I mean, they were crazy. I saw a girl in pajamas, or rather a shirt pajama, and then I saw a pajama, and then I saw some manga material. So it looked like an interesting book. Let's pop that out, get that in, pop that in. Alright, next up we got Lupin the Third, Fujiko's Lie? Why is Velma from Scooby-Doo on there? I know it's not her. It's just some other character with an orange shirt. This is weird. Anyways, I guess the thing to do is continue unwrapping and taking peeks at this stuff. Ooh, I like it when it's different on the inside. I didn't look at... Oh, it's different on the back, too. And, I see an English dub. I see a region A. I guess we're not expecting much more. Special features. Features. Both Japanese and English language versions. Trailers and credits collection. Huh. And there it is. And look, there's the reversible cover to make it look like that. So I guess this is Fujiko's Lie. Next up, we have The Wonderful Adventures of Nils. I don't know, I'm just going to pretend this is Untitled Goose Anime or something like that. No, I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking. Because it's clear that the boy is the main character, because I don't see... I guess I see a little goose there, but this isn't the Goose and Cat. Although there's no geese there. Unless that's a duck, but I'm pretty sure that's a goose. Those might be ducks. Maybe. Anyway, this is 52 episodes in standard definition. Audio, just Japanese. Pretty standard. Touring Sweden by air aboard a goose. Oh, it is a goose. Duh. Oh, it's a different thing on the inside. Now, I do believe. Well, of course, it's Japanese, so you'd know that it's definitely Japanese. But I guess this aired in. Maybe it didn't air in Sweden. Maybe it was. It only took place in Sweden. I don't know. This strikes me as one that's like something people probably watched growing up. It's really nice that Eastern Star Discotheque are able to mop up a lot of this stuff. Next up, we have Anti-Magic Academy, the 35th Test Platoon. Dysfunctional they may be, but they get the job done, usually. Mostly come out at night, mostly. See, it's annoying because I can feel the separation here, but I can't get at it. And we saw it when I unwrapped all the other ones, but I can't get it to start. Oh well. It's off. I'm looking at the back. I see a Japanese with English subtitles only. Region A. I was wondering if that was a 1. It was also DVD version, but this should only be Blu-ray version. Oh look, I like it when the inside is different. Is the back different? No, it didn't seem like there was a need for it to be, so that makes sense. Well, this image is 1/3 booby. That's quite a lot. Okay, I guess technically it's this section because the entire image isn't. You got more people there. I was going to say cute girls, but that one in the middle is definitely a guy. And that's a guy. And actually, yeah, that's him. I haven't been taking too close of a look at it. But yeah, there you go. We've got the one disc. I guess I didn't think about it too much because that was a girl, and it's just like, this seems to be a bunch of girls thing. Not necessarily bad, whatever. Anyways, Angels 3-piece. Something about these characters looks familiar. They didn't come from above, but their music will sing you up. So this is something about girls that play music. I don't know. The truth of the matter is I haven't finished One Piece yet, so I think 3-piece may be a little too far in the future for me, but I do see Japanese with English subtitles. Up here I see it says Region A, Crunchyroll. Alright, look, I like it when the inside is different than the slip cover. Okay, I just want to take that out to take a look at the full picture. Pretty cool. Is this supposed to make it look like she sort of has wings, but they're coming out of her chest? I mean, I don't think they're supposed to look like they're coming out of her chest, but it's strange. Alright, let's see. Next up we have Maria Watches Over Us. Complete collection. Actually, now that I think about it, this wasn't the one that came from Right Stuff. Did I back the Kickstarter and I'm about to get a second copy of this? I don't remember if there was a Kickstarter. Oh well, worst case, this will be a gift to somebody. So I see audio, it's Japanese with English subtitles. No, I was thinking of that. Not Maria Watches Over Us. Anyways, This is a Blu-ray collection of absolutely everything for this. I see Region A there, and again, no doubt just Japanese with English subtitles. Special features. Clean opening and closing. Don't Tell Mother Maria shorts. Interesting. I'm being a little lazy. Because, I don't know, I don't feel like flipping some of these over. It feels like there's a lot of them, and the truth of the matter is I'm getting tired of holding all these Blu-rays. And then last but not least, we have the Promised Neverland. Okay, well I guess before I look too closely at that, I can kind of see that there's this is an Aniplex release, I think. There we go. Okay, this doesn't have that. Maybe this isn't Alyx. Aniplex of America. There it is right there. Okay, it contains all 12 episodes. Over here. Looks like it's got English dub. Let's actually do this first. I see character designs, a lot of props and notes and stuff. Kind of cool standard thermoderm. Okay. Looks like it's 3 discs with a lot of the same artwork we already saw. Then we've got these kids over there. So yeah, I don't know what this one's even about, so I'm curious. It's got a attention-grabbing name, I thought. Like, it makes it sound kind of mysterious. It sounds inspired by stories of Peter Pan or something like that, and it doesn't look like that's not the case, but I don't know. Anyways, here's this week's anime DVD collection update. Okay. Didn't focus on a whole lot of anime this week either, but first of all, I did watch not all of Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2, but the first disc, which is like 8 or 9 episodes, and the second one's going to be like 4. But basically, I watched it with my friend. It was a high priority watch, and it's entertaining. Oh, what exactly happened? Where did it end? Where did it begin? Important stuff happened. I kind of felt like that part went by really fast, and I think that's because when I read the manga version, my first pause point was in the middle of the stuff we just watched. So we're actually getting pretty close to what I've seen on the manga. I've got 6 volumes back there to read. Good stuff. Very entertaining to watch show. I might remember the details of this instance a little bit better this time. You know, you get exposed multiple times. That's fine. And then I watched the first episode of Release the Spice, and I don't know what to think about it. You know, they're presented as kind of ninja girls, I guess. Yeah, I've only watched the first episode, so all I can say is it's strange. It might be enjoyable. It had this kind of energy to it that made me want to go on and see the next episode. Some weird stuff. I really liked how, well, okay, I'm going to call her main girl. That'll be Pink Girl right here. And this is her, I guess, beginning as a normal girl and then becoming this ninja thing in a modern time sort of thing. It's weird, but there's something about her that kind of interests me. Like, she isn't like super awesome. She isn't like Conduit for interest. I don't know. There's just something about her that has an energy that makes me curious, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. I know I really liked. They gave her an interesting interestingness, which doesn't make sense, and it's played off really weird, but it's also played off really quick, so the weirdness, you know, you kind of feel it, but it doesn't sink it, per se. Where, you know, I guess they didn't really establish she was going to make friends at this school. Was this the first day of class for all of them, or was she transferred? It didn't play off like she was a transfer, but it didn't play off like it was the first day of school either, so it was weird. But she ended up, an offhand comment she made ended up, you know, having a couple of the other ninja characters kind of just, you know, starting to go forward with that befriending her process, I suppose, for lack of better words, where basically, you know, they're like, yeah, reaching out, talking to her, hanging out, and doing stuff. And I guess what they've set up so far is that she's actually pretty interesting because she's got... I hesitate to call them superpowers per se, but they are definitely more enhanced beyond you believe, I guess. So it begins off not so outlandish, where she notices some the characters from their opening heist, I guess, for lack of better words. I don't think it's exactly a heist. I think this is more like a drug bust sort of thing, but not about drugs. I think it's about something illicit going on. And she kind of notices them from a distance jumping in. Her mom, maybe not her mom. Well, the person she was with does not see them. And, you know, I think it kind of establishes that she tends to see better than people, smell better than a lot of people. So, like, she was able to track someone down because of scent, which was really weird. But not the weird part. But the thing that was really weird was, you know, when the girls are like, you know, calling her kind of cool and stuff, and one of them hugs her, she licks the other girl just down here, because apparently when she licks people, she can gather more information from them than you would expect somebody that could lick could. I forgot what she said about the one character, but she said the other character has sore muscles just from licking her hand, which was interesting. And, you know, they've established a couple of things like that. It's just like, that's really weird. I can see why she would appear useful to them, because it kind of looks like she has some ability to track that could be useful, but it's not exactly saying that per se. They said that a couple of the characters are normal girls, but I don't know, none of them seem normal. And then they seem to snack on spices to get temporary boosts of inhuman capabilities. And you had this one guy that kind of showed up, and he's just kind of... like, I wondered if he was a rival to them, but he shows up and he says, nobody can stand in the way of the angel of death. And then he gets knocked down from behind by one of them. And he says, well, I guess there's one person here, and kind of stops. Sort of, it's weird. Like, there's this weird energy to it. This is all just the first episode, and I'll probably try and give it another couple of episodes. There's other interesting things that arrived. Although I think Promised Neverland is the only one that's definitively... oh yeah, I was kind of curious about this. Wiseman's Grandchild sounds interesting, but it also sounds very harem-esque. Or maybe I guess just get that impression from the cover, I guess. But it might not be. It doesn't... I don't look at it and say it definitely is. I just kind of think it might be. So, kind of curious about that. I don't know. Anyways, this past week has definitely been excruciating. I've been working from home starting exactly a week ago. So, like, today, last week, I drove into work, and like I said, you know, a lot of people were saying that I was brave, and I was like, no, actually, I think I get exposed to more people by not going in. Now, that includes the fact that I am actually going out and, you know, participating in restaurant activity, you know, just to-go stuff, but I'm passing more people on the walks in this area just to go pick up food than I am when I do that downtown. I mean, it was very, very sparse. And I'm assuming it's only gotten worse this past week because not only is the shelter-in-place order in there, but, you know, our company rents out a couple of floors at this hotel. Well, basically the hotel has kind of two sides. And one side it has... tenants isn't the right word. It just has renters, I guess. People renting the hotel rooms. But the other half they rent out as a office space to companies. It's really quite interesting because the inside, when you go there really late at night, kind of feels like a city within a city, sort of. Like, it's really weird. But anyways, the hotel itself is actually completely officially closing all of its lobby, and that basically means the only way for any of us to get into work is through the freight elevator, which is something I don't have access to by default. Most of us don't, I think. We can get access if we need to get in, but, you know, it kind of raises the point that, you know, if we can't go in, we shouldn't. But it does mean that while I have been working from home, it's excruciating. The focus is... It doesn't help that the focus begins on the smaller screen. Like, none of my setup here is really designed to be a work office. I mean, the closest you get is my little workspace here where, you know, I can be working on stuff. But for me, in order to kind of facilitate the work desk being a work desk, it basically means that no matter what my energy level is, I'm still in front of that desk focusing on the computer in front of me. And I guess some of my thoughts in that regard is I do have this tendency to lean way far back and sometimes sink very far under the desk, but to still be able to type with my hands. So if I get exhausted, I can continue working, I continue focusing. And it doesn't help that here, you know, there I have it set up so I have two monitors, you know, side by side, ready to go. Whereas here, I might be able to do something like that if I didn't have all these unripped DVDs and Blu-rays here. So you'd think I'd be catching up on those, but that computer isn't booting anymore, and that's the one that kind of organizes on assembling some of my ripped stuff. I could still rip without these. It's just tiring, and now I'm tired. So I spent a lot of this week tired, but what did I do? So I have installed Left 4 Dead 2 on my VR machine and played it. Now, I didn't play it in VR, I was just playing it. But it's kind of notable just because, you know, Left 4 Dead 2 and Left 4 Dead 1, in my opinion, are still both good games, fun stuff. They offer a sort of cooperative experience that I don't know is available in other options. But putting aside whether or not those are available, in this case it was, you know, streaming last week, and then yesterday I had some online friends that wanted to play some stuff, and, you know, they were different experiences, and it was kind of nice, even though I did get Molotov by a computer player. But that's a different story. That's a story from last week. Anyways, that was fun, and Pokemon not making a lot of progress on there, mostly because I'm trying to get a flame orb, and there's a huge luck component in that. It's even worse. I don't know if it's better or worse than the old Gen 4 way to get Explosion TM, which was through the bonus game. Or was it just something that you purchased, but in order to get the coins, in order to do it, you had to get really lucky on the bonus? No, I think it was, you had to get so many consecutive wins on the bonus game. I remember the music and kind of liking it, but also remembering that it was just sort of pointless. And I guess this isn't completely pointless, because fighting the Pokemon League Championship thing over and over again is netting me money, which will be good for training Pokemon. But, you know, it's still one of those things where I would like to get the Flame Orb and get this Pokemon out of the way, and I think because it's slow enough and because I'm losing momentum, that it would make sense to train some of the other Pokemon and then come back to this one at different points in time, multiple times, get myself interested in having some other trained Pokemon. And it would probably be helpful because it turns out that even though, so one of the main moves, I don't know, I think I'm babbling a little bit. I want to go and talk about the next thing, because I'll continue doing whatever Pokemon stuff I do. I even have a, I was going to say family member, but I guess technically he's more of a very close family friend who has started playing Pokemon Sword. He hasn't beaten the game yet, but he's far enough along that his Pokemon are level 60, so, you know, might mean he's kind of getting closer to that. Might mean, I don't know, might do some stuff with him. I think some cooperative stuff would be fun. But that's a kind of aside. The other thing I kind of want to talk about. So I didn't play Half-Life Alyx, but I had a friend, online friend, the same one I actually played, who orchestrated the game, who orchestrated the game yesterday, the Left 4 Dead 2 game yesterday. You know, he kind of wanted to talk about it, and I was like, you know, I don't really care. I'm curious, but I can tell I don't have the kind of focus and energy that would make me want to play it, find out the ending. So I went ahead and watched some YouTube videos about it, and my thoughts are that I'm surprised it's not making bigger waves than it has. I guess a lot of that can be chalked down to it's a VR game, and since a lot of people don't have VR, they're probably not aware. But, you know, my impression of Half-Life Alyx, based on my limited knowledge of it coming out, was, oh, it's a prequel to Half-Life 2. So it didn't seem like it could be that notable. And the little bits and pieces I saw made me think, is it maybe more of a somewhat fleshed out VR tech demo sort of thing? But I think it's appropriate to say it's a fully fleshed out game. I think Donkey might have had a video that kind of pointed out some annoying stuff. In particular, there's this one puzzle that he doesn't seem to like. That seems to be the majority of the puzzles that get thrown your way. But, unless that was somebody else and I don't remember. But I could kind of tell, based on bits and pieces here and there, that it really is a standard Valve release. And I don't mean like a standard modern, I mean like the same Valve that we always knew. Where basically, part of the reason I think Half-Life 2 Episode 3 or Half-Life 3 never came out is because Valve likes, they just don't want to make a game to milk it, I guess. They don't want to just keep releasing title. They want some meaning to it. And I know if for some of you who might have lived through this stuff, maybe it seems a bit like that, but having gone through it, the only one that seemed questionable at the time was Left 4 Dead 2, and after playing it, digesting it, you know, and this isn't a recent thing, this is just me kind of remembering all this stuff. It's very, Left 4 Dead 1 versus Left 4 Dead 2 have very different tones to them. Where Left 4 Dead 1 is more about the horror experience, whereas Left 4 Dead 2 is more about the action experience. And you can kind of tell with the way the music works and kind of the setup of the scenes. So even though Left 4 Dead 2 just feels like it's Left 4 Dead 1 with more stuff added, there is some change up to the formula enough such that you could go back to Left 4 Dead 1 specifically for Left 4 Dead 1 experience. And I think that was the real goal there. This isn't quite like, I was thinking of something else and I forgot what it was. Oh well. Basically, Valve wants to say, okay, here's our idea for this game. If they don't have a good idea, they don't want to move forward, and that's what happened with Half-Life. At the end of Half-Life 2 Episode 2, it didn't seem like they necessarily had good ideas from moving forward with that. And that plays into Half-Life Alyx because, oh, it's a prequel to Half-Life 2? Well, we kind of know it's going to end. Oh yeah, I guess Alyx is going to form resistance, and all the exciting stuff we thought happens later in Half-Life 2. But there are a couple things that Half-Life Alyx does that I think make it quite notable. One of those things is something that Half-Life, the series in particular, has kind of been the vehicle for. So it's always been, I think it's always been kind of, it's intended to be kind of cinematic. Now, I know that's kind of weird because there's cinematic mods, I think, for it, but the idea with Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2 is to kind of put the player in the middle of something
that feels like a cinematic without making them feel like they're watching a story about it. They are participating in the story. So it causes the flow to be a little bit different, where it's kind of, it's always really weird to stop playing because it kind of feels like you're just always moving forward. And so it's like, oh yeah, I'll go to the next breathing point, but there is never a next breathing point, because like when there's clear breaks, it's like, oh yeah, I just got dumped in a trash compactor. I should probably get out of here. This isn't the appropriate place to save. Oh, and now there's things to fire on, and where am I going? And then, you know, you're kind of continuing on. And I think all the Half-Life games have kind of been like that. And I don't know if Alyx has that same, oh, I don't know where to stop sort of thing, but it does feel like it is about placing you in the middle of this huge cinematic thing that's happening in the world around you that you are a part of, as opposed to, oh yeah, you get to watch it. And I think Half-Life Alyx seems to do that based on what I've seen, where it's like, it's about bringing that sort of experience to VR, which is kind of notable because it means that big events that happen, like, and they don't have to be like big world changing, it could just be big from the perspective of you're just a human watching things, like big things falling down, collapsing, giant machines, you know, all these sorts of things. It's about kind of presenting these to you in a way where you're like, whoa, and it looks like the VR experience kind of brings that idea from past Half-Life games to you on VR. And that it looks like a very different experience, a very notable experience. So that's one of the big things about it. This kind of means, it suggests to me that this isn't, oh, this is just a modern Valve, they're cash cows. This is the same old Valve as before. They came up with something where they're like, yeah, this experience will be very different for people. This will give them that cinematic experience in their action game that they're playing, like the previous Half-Life games, except they'll do it for VR, and VR means that you know, you'll have slightly different feelings to it. And the other one is the story, which, as I mentioned, has this weakness where, because it takes place before the events of Half-Life 2, means, okay, well, why should we care? Because we know where Half-Life 2 begins. So where does Half-Life Alyx end? That leaves us wondering about anything different about Half-Life 2. And it turns out they've actually introduced a couple story elements that are definitely going to change the events after. And yeah, I can't really stop it from doing that because I've got 3 things beeping at the same time. But yeah, it changes what is going to happen after the end of Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Which means this may actually be notable, because this means they might actually finally have something to move forward with a Half-Life 3 or Half-Life 2 Episode 3 or something like that. And or they might not, because one of the problems with, I think, they've had moving forward from Half-Life 2 Episode 2 is they've introduced so many important things that need to be resolved shortly after that, like in Episode 3, if there's an Episode 3, or Half-Life 3, if that's what comes out after that, that they might not be able to come up with the right idea that will that will feel satisfying. And so I think a good example of this is they mention an Aperture Science related thing that they're going to have to investigate in their next little leg of their adventure. And if you're not familiar, Aperture Science is the name of the company that is from the Portal games. They made the Portal gun. We know that takes place in the same universe as the Half-Life universe. This is the closest we are getting to a Portal Half-Life crossover. Now, it shouldn't be GLaDOS in Half-Life, and it probably shouldn't be Portal Gun in Half-Life, because that's kind of, like, as cool as that might be, that's also the most intellectually lazy thing. And the strongest thing about Portal was, I guess the 2 strong things about Portal were both the technical aspects of the Portal Gun, which are pretty awesome, but also the personality of the characters that interact with you, the silent protagonist, Shell. And so just taking the Portal Gun, putting it in Half-Life is a neat idea, but it's not the kind of thing that will blow your mind and make you say, whoa, okay, this is the new thing. And I think that's what Valve has been going for. And I think Half-Life Alyx gives us enough of a nudge such that they've either made it harder for them to do that by increasing expectations, or they may have given a way forward by shifting expectations just enough such that there are some potential new ideas I think they could play with. Things that I don't have a very solid grasp on. There's this one game I was thinking about kind of along these lines, but I'm not sure if that would be quite right. And I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil, but this basically means that Half-Life Alyx actually looks like it's a very quintessential, highly notable VR experience, as well as for the Half-Life universe, a good story expanding thing. And I don't mean just like expanding the backstory. I mean like this should make you excited for the future of Half-Life. If they're going to come out with Half-Life 3 finally, or Half-Life 2 Episode 3. Or they'll call it something else entirely, because they don't, Valve does not like the number 3. That's why they have Portal 1 and 2. They have Team Fortress 1 and 2. They have Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. They have Half-Life 1 and 2. And then they're like, oh, we're going to do episodes, and they have Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Episode 2. They just don't like the number 3. That's the joke, at least. And this may finally break that pattern. But yeah, my impression is that Half-Life Alyx seems to be worth it, and I'm actually considering purchasing it and playing it, because even though I know the story ideas that it builds on, it looks like it really is an experience. So I guess keep your eyes out if I ever do that, I guess. I mean, if I do that, I'm very likely to try and Twitch stream it, and if I don't Twitch stream it, or you miss the Twitch stream because, it's just a little stream, it doesn't matter. I'm also likely to talk about it here when I say, oh yeah, I finally played through it and it actually lived up to that expectation. And remember, this expectation isn't based on speculative, oh, I wonder what it's going to be like. This is based on some of the things I've seen that are like, these seem like they're meant to be an experience that you experience by being in VR in there. Not 3D stuff like Avatar, which was just like, oh, I guess that is. It's kind of a pretty movie. But I'm being told a story, so I kind of still view it as a story being told to me, even if it's a story in 3D. Yeah, eventually that conversation will end, but this video will probably end first. In fact, I'm not sure what I will talk about next. I guess coronavirus stuff has been very interesting. So one of the things I've noticed is every time I go to the grocery store, I should expect a very different experience from every other time I've gone. So if you're curious about my toilet paper situation, I finally used up my first roll of toilet paper since this whole fiasco started. I still have 2 more from that same pack, and I have an entire second pack, which is just the way I normally operate. Which basically means about a month from now, I'll probably go shopping for toilet paper. And if I don't manage to find any, 10 months from now is when I'll probably run out. I'll be fine. So, I get to be nice and calm. I was quite surprised at how little I was able to encounter eggs, but then I found, I went shopping yesterday like I normally do. I'm pretty much not changing my schedule just because, everything's shut down. Still, there's plenty of restaurants that are still open. You just don't sit down and eat, but I never did anyways. So, I go there, I give them some money, they give me some food, and I take it back home. I encounter nobody else at the restaurant. So, there's no contamination possibility happening there, really. It's the little thing I can do in order to keep money flowing. And at the same time, I go grocery shopping every Monday, do that. If I go to get pizza, then I hit up the Randall's next door, and I did that over the weekend as well. So, I've got weird things. I'm having to purchase my own bananas because I'm not buying them from the restaurant I normally eat breakfast at, because that's at work. So that's different. But, I'm keeping things mostly the same. And when you go grocery shopping, nobody else is like behaving the same. So like if everybody's showing up really early to get all the eggs and there's no eggs the rest of the day, I don't think that's the way it's working, because my understanding is they've been restocking eggs in waves throughout the day. And I think my timing yesterday was either just a little lucky or a combination of a couple of things where it was also raining, and I think people are realizing even when there's no eggs, there's almost always milk. Even if there's not milk, there's a whole lot of other stuff. The things you buy may be out of stock, but there's a lot of stuff that isn't, and a lot of that stuff is perfectly edible. It's like when I went to Randall's, it's like, oh, well, I guess this thing isn't here, but oh, you know what? Strawberry Pop-Tarts. I need something to snack on that's different than the other options I have, just to add some variety while I am working, because there's a lot of distractions. Some alternative noodle options. It's like, no, you know, all the ramen's being purchased, especially the beef ramen, which is my favorite and probably everybody else's favorite. But there's a beef taimine. I don't remember what it's called. I'm looking at it over there and I can't read it from a distance. So, you know, it's not like I'm running out of noodles. You know, it's just a different kind than I would normally purchase in quantity. And I'm not purchasing those in much quantity either. I've always been able to get soup, pot pies. I've got some canned soups. This is two beef kind. I decided to get a little variety and go with some beef soups because I normally get chicken soups. I could have gotten some more frozen Indian food if I wanted. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I normally buy that's there, and a lot of stuff that's, you know, just kind of different variations, but still perfectly edible. All good. I think I've got some dried pineapple as well as some pineapple cups and some canned pineapple. You know, this little variety of pineapple. You know, that's kind of good because it means that I think pineapple has a good amount of vitamin C in it. And that's why I'm making sure bananas and oranges or pineapples are there. It's just because need to make sure vitamin C doesn't fall low. Don't want to suffer from scurvy. And trying to keep some potassium in the diet, because potassium is a muscle. It's something that muscles use to relax, and if you don't, then you can cramp a lot easier. I don't know. Really the problem is that I'm just not drinking as much as I really should. So, I don't know. So as you can see, you know, it's weird, but it is what it is. And I don't know. I'm just home constantly so much that I'm also tired a lot. Which is probably not any different than usual. It just means that instead of being tired because I'm only getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep at night, it means I'm tired because, you know, the temptation of nap is always there, and the body's like, yeah, let's nap. This is the weekend, right? You didn't go into work today. Weird stuff. Okay, so I've babbled on quite a bit now. I think I'll go ahead and wrap up this video here. Y'all, have a nice week.